While browsing old pictures, a team of experts spotted something strange in an 1800s photo of a small Michigan town. It seemed unremarkable at first, but what they found hidden in plain sight left them completely speechless. Zoom in right there. No, not the carriage, the sign written on that shop wall. Tell me you see it too. The room fell quiet as Marla Jennings leaned in over the monitor. The glow of the high-resolution scan flickered across her glasses. It was just another digitization day at the Maplebrook County Historical Archive, tucked in the upper floors of an old courthouse in Everspring, Michigan. A small, quiet town most people forgot even existed. She wasn't expecting anything unusual. After all, this was just a community project. Archive the 1800s photo collection donated by the late Margaret Doyle, a longtime local teacher and historian. Most of the glass plate images were blurred, faded, or just dusty slices of a life long gone. But this one was different. Liam Torres, a 32-year-old archival tech specialist from Detroit, tapped the keyboard carefully. That storefront, that branding is way too sophisticated for 1871. Look at that lettering. And that mannequin in the window. Was that even a thing back then? Dr. Alan Cho, a 57-year-old expert in photographic history, squinted. That's what I was thinking. I've seen thousands of storefronts in this era. None was this commercialized. Marla, 41, the head of the archive and a lifelong Everspring resident, crossed her arms. Wait a minute. My grandfather used to tell stories about a clothing shop that everyone swore just disappeared one day. It was always a mystery, but I thought he was just romanticizing the past. Could this be it? The photo was taken in 1871, a street-level snapshot of Everspring's once busy Main Street. Horse-drawn carriages lined the unpaved road. A few townsfolk in modest dress wandered along the wooden sidewalks. But the storefront was the real focal point. Bold white paint stretched across the wall with a clear message. The best place to buy clothings, hats, caps. Underneath, in ornate serif type, Stonemore and Bell Clothiers. None of them had ever heard of that brand. Alan leaned closer. That name's not in any Michigan textile history records, and I've reviewed hundreds. It's like they never existed. The silence in the room grew heavier. Liam adjusted the brightness. The lettering on the sign looked untouched by time. Why would a business with branding like this vanish without a trace? And if they were this modern in 1871, why isn't their name in every textile history book? Marla's heart thumped unexpectedly. As someone whose entire job was cataloging the lives and names of forgotten townspeople, this felt different. She pulled out a dusty county registry from 1880 and flipped through it quickly. Nothing. No mention of Stonemore. No Bell. No clothiers listed on that street. Guys, she whispered. It's like this place was erased. And just like that, something small and overlooked for 150 years had become a question none of them could let go. Liam was already typing on his laptop when Marla walked in with two more worn black and white photos from the same era. None of them showed the shop again. Just ordinary buildings, a general store, a post office. It was as if Stonemore and Bell only appeared in one photo and then vanished. It doesn't make sense, Liam said. I cross-searched the Library of Congress, University of Michigan Textile Archive, and the State Business Registry. There's no record of them ever incorporating. Alan walked in, holding an old township map from 1875. There's a plot marked here, he said, pointing to the map's central row of lots. Block 7, Lot 4. That would have been right where the clothing store was, but by 1885 it's labeled vacant. So they existed, then they didn't, Marla said quietly, just like my grandfather always said. One day the shop just disappeared. The following day they drove to downtown Everspring, now mostly a cluster of antique shops and closed diners. Lot 4 was currently occupied by a rundown auto repair garage with a sagging roof and a dusty for sale sign. Doesn't look like much, Alan muttered. But if the building has a basement, that's our best shot. They spoke to the garage's former owner, a retiree named Bill Hammond, who gave them permission to look around. With flashlights in hand, the group descended a creaky set of stairs into the dirt-floored underbelly of the garage. There, buried under a layer of grime and forgotten parts, Liam's flashlight caught the edge of something metallic wedged beneath a floorboard. With some careful prying, they uncovered a corroded plaque, blackened with age but still legible under the rust. S&B Clothiers, established. 1869. Alan stared at it in disbelief. It's them. Marla, now visibly shaken, remembered something she hadn't thought about in years. An old box in her grandfather's barn marked Town Relics. I need to check something, she said, already grabbing her coat. Later that night, beneath old war medals and pocket watches, Marla found what she was looking for. A tightly wrapped linen parcel containing an aged, leather-bound ledger. She opened it with care, the spine cracking gently. Inside were pages upon pages of handwritten entries, inventory logs, order sheets, even sketches of coat and cap designs. One page caught her eye. August 12, 1883. Final shipment destination, Chicago. Closure notice enclosed. Must not delay. But the next page was torn out. The ink on the final sentence was shaky, trailing off at the end like someone had stopped mid-sentence. Liam and Alan sat stunned as she relayed the story. They were producing in bulk, selling to major cities. Then, nothing. A successful business, poised for expansion, and then gone without a trace. The silence returned. Marla closed the book gently. This wasn't just a store. This was a brand, a serious one. And it's like someone, or something, made sure they were forgotten. And none of them knew yet just how deep the thread would unravel. It was past midnight, but no one wanted to stop. The discovery of the plaque and Marla's grandfather's old ledger had awakened something deeper, something that didn't feel like coincidence. Alan, always the academic, spent the next 2 days tracing transportation records, old manufacturing logs, and textile distributor routes. And he finally found something. A shipment dated August 14th, 1883, listed as 12 crates, winter apparel, destination, St. Agnes Orphanage, Detroit. Shipped by Stonemore and Bell Clothiers. That same day, another order was listed, an even larger shipment, meant for a storefront in Chicago. That one was marked, shipment canceled. Sender failed to deliver. Liam stared at the documents, confused. So they made their final delivery to an orphanage, but canceled their commercial orders the same week. Marla's voice trembled. What if they were planning to close, but something made them do it faster? Like overnight. That's when they decided to take a trip to the Michigan State Historical Library in Lansing. They spent hours searching, but came up empty, until they thought to check the church next door. In the handwritten community diaries preserved by the chapel, they found something. A journal by a man named Reverend Elijah Porter, dated August 1883, had an eerie entry. It's hard to explain. The shop was there one morning, gone the next, and no one talks about it. A man named Harlan Bell came to the chapel days prior. Donated 24 coats, all handmade. He looked tired. Said he was leaving Everspring for good. That was the first time they had a name confirmed, Harlan Bell. Cross-referencing census data, they found him. Harlan James Bell, born 1841, listed as a designer in 1870, a Civil War veteran. His partner? Edward Stonemore, 34 in 1871, born in New York. And just like that, they both vanished from all records after 1883. Even Alan, who'd studied dozens of Midwest industrial stories, said quietly, "This isn't normal. People don't just vanish from history this cleanly." Liam looked at the copies on the table. Unless someone wanted them forgotten. That same night, Liam ran a high-resolution scan of the original 1871 photograph using a new AI enhancement software. The detail it unlocked stunned all three of them. In the right-hand corner window of the shop, barely visible to the naked eye, stood a man holding a small sign. Blurred and partially blocked by the reflection of sunlight, it took hours to digitally reconstruct. But by morning, they had it. Not for sale to the syndicate. Alan leaned back in his chair. A protest sign. Marla's voice cracked. What syndicate? Researching further, they found that in the early 1880s, a Midwest textile conglomerate known as the Midland Stitch Company had begun aggressively acquiring independent clothiers. By 1884, Midland owned over 40% of the region's textile trade. And just like that, smaller businesses vanished or were absorbed. Liam then pulled up a grainy copy of Midland's 1915 anniversary brochure. In it was a photo of a flagship product, a double-stitched wool coat with an inside label reading, "Established. 1869. Quality without compromise." Same slogan, same year as Stonemore and Bell. But no credit, no mention, no record. "This wasn't a merger," Allen said. "This was erasure." For days, the team worked in near silence, each of them consumed by one question. What really happened to Stonemore and Bell? Marla, back in her office, stared at the photo on her screen. The AI-enhanced image kept revealing subtle new details. The way the sunlight curved across the painted shopfront, the faded cracks in the glass, and now, barely noticeable in the lower corner of the window, a small, unfamiliar symbol, two interlocking letters, S and B, wrapped inside a triangle. Marla froze. She opened her drawer, pulled out a small wooden jewelry box, and flipped the latch. Inside was a silver ring, passed down from her grandmother. Its face bore the same exact symbol. She had worn it as a child during holidays, never knowing what it meant. Her grandmother had only said, "That came from someone who believed in quality above everything else." Tears pricked the corners of her eyes. She called Allen and Liam immediately. Back at the archive, they began cross-referencing business trademarks from the 1880s. In a dusty registry from 1882, they found a match. The S and B triangle had been filed as a protected brand mark for Stonemore and Bell clothiers, noting its use on shop signage and printed catalogs. But the trail didn't stop there. 3 years later, the exact same symbol, the S and B triangle, was re-registered under Midland Stitch Company, this time marked as a legacy acquisition from a defunct competitor. Liam slammed the file shut. "They didn't just erase them, they took their identity," Allen added. "They kept the design, the slogan, even the coat patterns, but stripped the name off like it never existed." All three sat in silence. What they had just uncovered left them speechless. It felt like discovering a buried body no one even knew to look for. A pioneering business, decades ahead of its time, was swallowed up in silence. A protest sign ignored, an invention stolen, and a legacy denied. And now, 150 years later, 3 people in a dusty archive were the first to say their names again. Edward Stonemore, Harlan Bell. The town of Everspring had never been on any historical tours, and its main street barely warranted a page in Michigan's heritage books. But that was about to change. Weeks later, a bronze historical marker was erected at the site of the old shop, now just an empty gravel lot waiting for redevelopment. It read, "Stonemore and Bell Clothiers, founded 1869, innovators in American retail fashion, disappeared from public record in 1883. Their legacy, quietly stolen, lives on in brands we wear today." Marla stood by as a small crowd gathered for the unveiling. Moments later, Allen submitted an article to the Michigan Historical Journal titled, "The Vanished Threads of Everspring: How a Photo Unraveled a Brand Erased by Time." Liam digitized the entire collection, including the enhanced version of the 1871 photo, and created an online museum called Stonemore and Bell, the brand that chose principle over profit. It went viral among fashion historians and local community archivists. Some even noted early similarities between S&B coat designs and those credited to early 20th century department stores in New York and Chicago. Discussions opened, investigations launched. But for Marla, the legacy was personal. She slipped the ring back on her finger. For the first time in her life, she knew what it meant. In the museum's new display, under the restored image of the horse-drawn carriages and that bold storefront sign, "The best place to buy clothings, hats, caps," a small plaque read, "They didn't vanish, they resisted." And just like that, a silent chapter of history had been woven back into memory, thread by thread. What a surprising reveal. Could a single photo from the 1800s really rewrite what we thought we knew about a quiet Michigan town? What would you have done if you noticed what the experts eventually found? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't miss out on more jaw-dropping discoveries like this one.